Hello, friends. It's me, Jason McIntyre, and he is Geoff Schwartz. It's our mid-season NFL gambling special. We're going to buzz through both conferences, give a bunch of futures bets. A lot of actionable stuff is coming your way. Go through player awards. Geoff, we are at the midway point of the season. How are you feeling about football as we head into the bitter cold month of November?
I gotta say, man, it's gone better than expected, right? We're still playing in the middle of a pandemic, and we're still getting the games off. We still have not had to add an extra week to the season, right? We're doing the protocol, we're doing the right thing, and we're halfway through the season, and it's been great. I love watching football, and I'm so glad that the league has been able to pull it off. So congrats, players and personnel, and let's get ready for the last 8 weeks of the year.
Yes, I hope you didn't just jinx 49ers-Packers, which is to be played on Thursday. We hope. All right, let's get to the NFC playoff picture, Geoff. And we're starting to see things shake out. Here are the odds presented by Fox Bet. And, you know, when you look at them, Seattle is a lock for the playoffs, Geoff. We can agree Tampa's in. Yeah. The Packers are close to a lock. The Saints, there's a really good chance they can make it. But they have a tough schedule upcoming. And then you got the Eagles at minus 275 because, hey, somebody's got to win the NFC least. And with the expanded playoffs this year, Geoff, we have an extra playoff team, meaning we could see Cardinals, Bears, Rams, maybe the 49ers. Yeah. What jumps out at you in the NFC playoff picture?
Well, obviously the favorites are pretty solid, right? And we know you mentioned the extra spot here. So look, San Francisco plus 200, they're out, right? Too many injuries now. Jimmy G's out a while. Kittle's out for a long stretch. I would even put money on San Francisco if you're looking that direction. The wild card, I guess, is Detroit at plus 400. I mean, they're a team I looked at to win the North this year because I thought they were talented enough. Their defense is starting to play a little bit better, but do we trust them? I don't know. They just got blown out by the Colts. They go to Minnesota this weekend. So I'm not sure there's a team where I'd be like, look, man, like you have to put your money on some of these long shots here. The Bears are not any good. I would not bet on the Bears either. So maybe the Lions are that team that find a way to kind of sneak back in there. I just trust them, I guess, more than the Bears. Ugh.
Yeah. You know, the Cardinals, let's talk about the Cardinals for a second. They're minus 213. And on paper, they look to be in a good spot with as you alluded to, the 49ers injuries. That's great for them. But look at the Arizona schedule, Geoff. Their next three opponents all have a winning record. They still have to face the Rams twice. I know they have the Giants and Philly on the schedule, but listen, Philly gets healthier as we go on. We saw them peaking late last season. I liked Arizona coming into the season. I thought they were just a great chance to make the playoffs. I'm starting to have my doubts, and I'm looking at your Chicago Bears. Listen, this weekend's a huge game for Nick Foles and company. And I know the number's big. I think it's 5.5. I think they got a chance to win this game outright over an overrated Titans team.
Well, we're on the same page, and that might be one of the bets I take tomorrow is the Bears in that game. Look, Arizona, it's interesting that you're kind of off of them now because they started really slow. They kind of started like really below expectations. They're 24th in DVOA, 21, 20. Now they're up, I believe, to 11. They're 10 in offense and 10 in defense. Like they're playing some really good football now as we kind of move along through the season. They're getting their sea legs in their second year. So I would not count them out. I know their schedule's tough, but you know they just came back and beat Seattle. Got lucky to do so, but sometimes you need luck to make the playoffs. So I think they're in a good spot to at least get that 7th spot. If they could just get to 9 wins and they have 4 more to go to get there.
I like them better than the Rams. The problem and my issue is the Rams have already played all those terrible teams in the NFC least. I mean, and they got them when they were hurt and they rolled through those jokers. And Arizona, I don't know that they're going to have a chance to beat the Eagles. That's a good Eagles team, man. All right, so that's the NFC. Let's head over to the AFC. The AFC playoff picture. Again, the odds presented by Fox Bet. Again, we're going to skip talking about the Chiefs. Yeah. I mean, they're in the Steelers at 8-0, lock city. Then Buffalo, because of that win over the Patriots, they're looking really good to win the AFC East. The Ravens could bear some discussion. I know they're minus 1,000 right now.
Yeah.
I obviously would not advocate backing them there. But talk to me, Geoff. Titans, who are looking a little fraudulent. The Colts are maybe making a move in that division. And then, we've got the Browns and the Raiders, who are really fun to talk about. But where do you want to start with the AFC playoff picture?
Miami plus 225. I'm not that high on Tua. I think that he didn't play terribly well. If you actually look last weekend, he had the worst EPA for any quarterback in the National Football League in Week 8. I think they actually go to Arizona and lose this weekend. I'm sure we'll debate that tomorrow on our show, previewing the weekend. I think they can do it though. Their defense is playing really, really good right now. And I think they're going to get better as guys that I've heard in the secondary are kind of coming back right now. So their defense could propel them in that division. Buffalo's not playing as well right now. We know New England's down. Obviously the Jets aren't very good. So they could sneak some wins in that division. I think there's some value in plus 225 there.
I'm curious. I like that you brought up Miami. I do like Tua. We'll get to him later in the show. But Geoff, have you looked at the schedule? They have two cold weather matchups approaching. I don't know how Tua is going to handle the cold. This is a guy we know that played well at Alabama in the warm weather. We'll see how he does in the cold. And they have a 3 straight road game stretch. It's difficult. Still have to play the Chiefs. So a bit of an uphill climb. That's why, they're plus 225. I want to look at the Browns real quick. This is a team we're going to monitor the Myles Garrett injury. Obviously, that would be huge for the Browns. Obviously, they lost Odell Beckham, but Nick Chubb should be coming back at some point. And they have a 4 road games in 5-week stretch that could break Baker Mayfield. And I'm rooting for the Browns to make the leap to the playoffs. I have a futures play on them from earlier this year. They do have the Giants and Jets in late December. And Geoff, listen, we don't talk a lot about these bad teams. I almost said a bad word there. These terrible teams. Those 2 teams are going to be tanking for Trevor Lawrence in December. So the Browns should pick up 2 automatic victories there. I like Cleveland here. It's not great. You got to lay 200 to win 100 there. But I think the Browns are a playoff team in the AFC.
Looking last week at their schedule, I thought they could be 9-2. They could win the next 4 games. Obviously, they lost to the Raiders, so it doesn't count. But you put them at 8-3 after 11 games, plus Giants and Jets still. Yeah, they're a playoff team, which is crazy because, again, I don't think Baker Mayfield he's just like average, but the rest of the team is really good. He's a really good coach. I think it's proven that now he knows what he's doing. He's got that offense in the right place. Last weekend's loss was a typical Browns loss, though, and that worries me because Jarvis Landry dropped a touchdown, right? Njoku dropped the ball on 3rd down. It just felt like a game where the Browns should have, if you're a playoff team, you win that game, Jason. And I felt like the old Browns showed up on Sunday.
Yeah, and now the Raiders have the tiebreaker over the Browns. And again, you don't want to look too much into the schedule because so much can happen with the COVID situations. But only one of the Raiders' next 5 opponents has a winning record, and that is the Chiefs, who are going to want revenge for the loss earlier. So it's looking good for the Raiders. I mean, we may see Carr and Jacobs and company in the postseason. All right, it's time for everybody's favorite. Everybody loves Super Bowl futures. And listen, you look at this board for Super Bowl futures. Yeah, it is – I don't want to say it's wide open, but there are some teams that really jump out here as value. I'll let you go first off the tee box. What are you seeing Super Bowl futures-wise?
Well, what's crazy is Pittsburgh was plus 2,500 before the season.
Oh, yeah.
So you could take them now, but I'm not sure there's much value in that. I mean, obviously plus 600 is better than nothing, but they're at plus 2,500. The team I like here is Seattle at plus 800. I'll tell you why. Obviously, offensively, they're out of this world, and we know that. But defensively, they're only going to go up this year, Jason, right? Jamal Adams is going to return that lineup. He'll make them a better defense. Carlos Dunlap, look, he's not an all-pro defensive end. He's a good defensive end, though. And right now they have no pass rush. So adding a good defensive player back into your defense can only help you. And you see that every week a little incrementally better on defense, right? We saw last weekend against the 49ers, played well for 3 quarters, kind of let them BS their way back in the game a little bit with some late yards at the end of that game. So I think Seattle here plus 800. Who in the NFC is going to stop them outside of maybe Tampa, right? Like, I don't see anyone stopping this offense. Their offense is playing unbelievably good right now. So I think there's a ton of value on Seattle at plus 800 if you're looking for a non-Chiefs team. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. But looking for the value, it's the plus Seahawks here.
Now, only one team gets the bye this year, and home field advantage doesn't really mean as much, at least so far this year. We don't know if there's going to be fans at playoff games, but we do know there are currently fans in Tampa. If Tampa gets home field advantage, obviously the Super Bowl's in Tampa, do you think that gives them a big edge on Seattle? We've seen Russell Wilson outdoors, indoors, inclement weather. He can deliver anywhere. But I'm looking at Tampa plus 650. That is just a team to me that is just starting to scratch the surface. Geoff, we know they get Antonio Brown this week. They've done a lot of damage with Godwin missing significant time for a variety of injuries. And the guy I'm really looking at is Gronkowski. Okay, first 5 games, he's a non-factor. He had sat out last year, retired, didn't want to play with Belichick. Okay, comes back, looked kind of out of the mix there for the first 5 weeks. What has he done last 3 weeks? Touchdown,
Really good.
touchdown, touchdown. So you give me Gronk, you give me a healthy Godwin, and adding Antonio Brown to a team that's already, according to a lot of the advanced metrics, the number one team in the NFL with a awesome defensive line, great at stopping the run. I don't know that they have the corners to shut down Russell Wilson, but I think plus 650 with Tampa is immense value. And I do believe there is something to that home field advantage that they will have. I think it'll play a part this weekend. We will talk about that on the Thursday show. But yeah, I like Tampa Bay a lot. Is there anyone else that jumps out at you there in the NFC?
Not terribly. I will say I want to back up your Tampa points. I think it's a good point here. The home field advantage is going to be the weather because it's going to be much warmer in Tampa Bay than it would be in Seattle. That's really hard to go from cold to warm like that. You really wear down in a game when you're not used to playing in that heat. And one other point about Tampa that's interesting, if you look at the way they're playing right now, if there's one part of their offense that I think can really make them even more explosive, that's play action pass. They don't do enough of it, and they were really good at it last season with Jameis Winston. And every time they play action pass, Jason, they get a huge gain. And part of that is using Rob Gronkowski in the play action pass. They went down the field to score a touchdown on Monday night. Play action pass, play action pass, play action pass, touchdown. It's a great tool, and Tom Brady has been fantastic in his career targeting Rob Gronkowski in the play action pass game. It's not really what Bruce Arians does, but I hope if he incorporates that into his offense, the offense will just continue to get better each and every week. We know that defense is good. So yes, there's a ton of value here on Tampa.
All right, so we've talked about some NFC teams. Let's quickly go to the AFC teams. Anyone on the board? I think Pittsburgh. Oh, Geoff, you just talked about weather advantage.
Yeah.
How about having to go to Pittsburgh in January? For some of these AFC teams,
yeah.
I think the Steelers, again, no major injuries on the offense, knock on wood. The defense obviously lost Bush, but they just made an acquisition of Avery Williamson from the Jets. So hopefully he'll, patch up the middle. They already have really nice wins over Tennessee and Baltimore, close wins. But again, just as I said with Gronk, we're looking at a guy in Ben Roethlisberger out last year with an injury, just starting to get back in the mix. I like Pittsburgh there in the AFC.
So the Chiefs are the best team in football when they want to be the best team in football. That's very true, okay? But if there's one team to get them out of that, it is Pittsburgh, 100%, right? It's pass rush, forcing turnovers, physical in the back end of their secondary. They have those tools to make it tough on the Chiefs. The issue that I think I have with Pittsburgh is they have got to get a more explosive offense. They have to find ways to move the ball down the field in big chunk plays, because if you play games where you're just kind of scoring 27 points, you're not going to beat the Chiefs very often. So they have to find ways, in my opinion, to get the passing game going, being more explosive down the field. They have the guys to do so, right? Juju and Claypool, they have they have fast, Johnson, I believe they have fast players. They have fast guys. They have to make it more part of their offense for me to feel more comfortable taking them to play the Chiefs.
I wonder if that's by design. If they said, listen, we're not going to come out and have our burners just running 40-yard sprints, straight line runs with the potential for the hamstring injuries we've seen throughout the league. You're right. They have Deontay Washington. Claypool's explosive.
You got to do it at some point.
He can beat you so many ways. As can the Chiefs. But both those teams, I think, a lot of value for the Super Bowl. All right, let's move on to MVP of the NFL. And this one, when you look at the MVP, again, thank you to Fox Bet for the odds. It's really difficult to make a case against anyone other than the favorite here, who is a significant favorite in Russell Wilson, everybody's favorite quarterback. However, I'm sure you and I could come up with something, Geoff. I'll give you, do you have anybody besides Russell Wilson that you like?
It's Tom Brady. I think we're both on this too, right? Tom Brady's the guy who you'd put money on here. Look, Russell Wilson, even if he goes down a little bit, he's had 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completing 74% of passes. He's been fantastic. I think there's a little sentimental value in this pick because everyone's he's never got an MVP vote before. Why has he never got an MVP vote before? So even if he drops down in play and the Seahawks go 14-2 or 13-3, get the 1 seed, he'll win the MVP. But if Tampa Bay gets the 1 seed, if they run the table or even finish 13-3, guys, Tom Brady's playing really good football right now. I know no one wants to admit that because it's Tom Brady and everyone hates him, but he's looking good. And to your point you made earlier, Jason, this offense will just continue to get better each week. They're going to see them progress each week. So I think Tom Brady here, plus 1,200. If you're looking for a long shot, that's the guy you put your money on. But Wilson, in my opinion, and you see by the odds, far and away the favorite. But Tom Brady has value at plus 1,200.
Yeah, and the bottom could fall out on the Seahawks. We could see this defense very leaky. Maybe the bottom falls out and they don't get to 13 wins. I'm with you. Tom Brady, listen, he threw 2 picks in the opener, right? First game, new team, new playbook, new coach, new everything. Since that opener with the 2 picks, he has 2 interceptions, 20 touchdowns against 4 picks this year. He has been on fire. And, Jeff, I didn't run this by you beforehand, but it just hit me as you were talking. There feels like almost a LeBron-ish comparison to Tom Brady here. Like we're forgetting about him because he's old. Nobody's put up numbers like this at the age of 43 ever in NFL history. And Jeff, that's got to count for something. Yeah. I mean, it does. I wanted LeBron to win the MVP over Giannis. And of course, they gave it to Giannis. And I do believe you're right. The media loves the sentimental. We love Russ. Yeah. He's married to a singer. He's never got a vote. He's so friendly with the media. But the reality is, I think Tom Brady's the choice here.
Yeah, I think there is some to that where you forget how great he is. And look at New England now, right? New England without him, and their roster's depleted. There's many other things happening in New England, but they're a shell themselves. They haven't scored, a passing touchdown in 3 weeks now. And they play your great Jets team this week, Monday Night Football, I believe. What a matchup. And so, like, I just think that we forget that Tom Brady is really an elite player. People want to hate on the guy, right? They want to say that he's washed up, he's too good looking, or he does the TB12 method, or he's too arrogant, or he doesn't shake Nick Foles' hand after the game. None of that matters. All that matters is he a good quarterback, and he's playing really good right now.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year. These odds presented as always by Fox Bet. And, you see Aaron Donald as the leader. He's always going to be in the mix. He's a tremendous player. Myles Garrett, again, you got to watch that injury there. We don't know what's the status of the knee coming out of the bye week. Anyone else jump out at you there, Jeff? Budda Baker, one great Monday Night Football performance.
Fred Warner.
Let's settle down on that. But good player. But go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, there's 2 options, right? It's Donald and Watt. I'll just take Donald because I think he's the best player at his position out of any position in the NFL. And the gap between, him and the next person is the largest in the NFL, right? Like if you look at, Pat Mahomes and Russell Wilson, they're 1A, 1B. Who's 1B to Aaron Donald's 1A? There's not, right? There's plenty of other pass rushers that are just as good as TJ Watt, even though Watt's having a fantastic season. I think Donald gets this again just because of his name and the impact he has in games. And, you call him out on the internet and he goes out and crushes the Bears and plays great against the Dolphins. So he's just unstoppable, man. Like you have to scheme your whole game plan up to stop him. Like you have to do everything in your power to make sure he doesn't ruin the game. I know the Steelers have a bunch of different worries, right? You have Tuitt and Hayward, and you have Bud Dupree, and so Watt gets more one-on-one matchups, and he's taking advantage of those. I don't want to discount the play he's had so far, but Donald's got to work through double teams, an entire game plan set up for him to stop him from making game-wrecking plays. And it just doesn't work. So I give it to Donald, even though I think Watt, there's some value in Watt as well.
Yeah. TJ Watt's the guy I was going to talk about, plus 550. Listen, he's tied for 4th in the league in sacks with 6.5, tied for 1st in tackles for loss every week. And I've been betting on the Steelers a lot. You guys have been following the show. I've loved this team a lot. And if you just watch their games and you watch TJ Watt, he is living in the opponent's backfield. Like, seriously, every play, he's tearing off the edge and becoming a factor, and he's a game changer. And I don't know, Jeff, I know Aaron Donald's great. If the Rams end up 8-8, 9-7, and the Steelers are 14-2 and have home field advantage, I think TJ Watt, the numbers are going to be there. So part of me wants to go, listen, he's the best player on the best defense, or maybe number 2, depending on what Tampa is. I would bet on TJ Watt here to win Defensive Player of the Year.
You mentioned something that I think is very important, something that voters look at and maybe the normal folk don't pay attention to, is that his tackles for loss and his effect in the run game is very easy to see, right? We saw last weekend on a play where he was supposed to be the guy Lamar Jackson was reading, but he ended up reading Lamar and then tackling the running back, which is extremely hard to do. We saw against the Titans, he ran down plays from the backside line of scrimmage to get tackles for loss. Even on the Derrick Henry play that we saw at the 1 yard line where Splain hit him, who had his legs? TJ Watt had his legs, right? Like there's plays he makes in the run game that are so impactful that I think we lose sight of it because he's a defensive end and we don't look at defensive end as impactful run players, even though they obviously can be. Khalil Mack's an impactful run player as well. We just see Aaron Donald, right? All the highlight plays he has. So it's a great bet here because your point about winning too is very well. The Rams over under this year for wins was 8.5. If they win 8 games or 9 games and Watt is 14-2, Watt probably gets Player of the Year.
Pizza money, folks. Pizza money on TJ Watt. All right, let's get to Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is probably the most debated award because of what's happened with these two quarterbacks at the top. Now, I just want to say Herbert and Burrow neck and neck. I've got a sleeper for you. I'll let Geoff go first. Geoff, don't spoil it. I've got a sleeper for you. But listen, Herbert and Tua is a coin toss. Herbert and Burrow is a coin toss, right?
I think you know where I'm going with this one right here. See that nice little yellow helmet right there, that Oregon helmet? I'm going with my guy, Justin Herbert here out of Oregon. I'll tell you why. Look, they've obviously been very close in a lot of these games. If they just win half of their one-score games, they're going to win enough games where people are going to start paying more attention to what Justin's doing. He has the better wide receivers right now. I think that he's playing in a cleaner system. Joe Burrow has to make a lot of plays, and there's a strong possibility he gets himself. I never want to root for someone to get hurt, but part of betting is thinking about the future. His offensive line's terrible, right? Like, he can get hurt in a heartbeat, all the plays he tries to make, and he's been playing great. I think that he is probably slightly better than Herbert right now, but I think Herbert's just longevity this season will outlast Burrow at some point. I mean, I can see the Bengals just saying, like, look, we're not playing you the last 2 weeks of the year. We're out 7 offensive linemen. We're not going to get you hurt against the Steelers. Like, it just doesn't make sense to do that. So I like Herbert here just for those reasons. He's playing great. He will continue to improve. And they're on all these games. Like, if they just win half of their one-score games on the way out, they might be a fringe wild card team.
I think what helped Herbert so much was that Monday night performance against the Saints. These island games really matter when there's not 7 other games going on, and Herbert looked tremendous throwing that deep ball. He was great against the Bucs and Tom Brady. I mean, he's had a tremendous season. Burrow doesn't have as many splash plays. His big play that goes on his reel was against the Titans last week, where he gets hit like 3 times and then scrambles for 6 yards. He got sacked 8 times against the Eagles. Yeah. Burrow's been incredible. My sleeper. Okay. Tua Tagovailoa. Now, this is if you really want to get fun. Plus 2,000 is Tua. And I know you're going to say, Jason, come on. Geoff ripped him apart. He had like 93 yards passing against the Rams. Here's why I think he has a chance. Herbert and Burrow are not going to the playoffs. Geoff, we agree on that. Okay. Yes. Tua has a chance. This is a Miami defense that is going to carry this team. And all Tua has to do is make plays. And you say, well, Jay, he hasn't proven that. Okay. Look at the pass defenses, according to DVOA, that Tua faces the rest of the season. 2 in the top 10. That's it. Okay. He's got to face KC, which will be a tall order, and he's got to face Denver. Besides that, he gets Buffalo, Raiders, Jets, Bengals. Tua's going to have an opportunity as the season goes on and builds toward the climax in December of putting up some numbers and getting Miami to 10 wins in the playoffs. And I think that's why there is some value on him. Now, Geoff, I'm curious what you think. Do you think starting for half the season, putting up numbers, getting your team to the playoffs will trump Herbert and Burrow and their better numbers?
I think it depends on how he gets them to the playoffs, right? I mean, you look at the Rams game, and they scored obviously basically twice on defense and on special teams. And, they're going to play a game, in my opinion, that is conservative and just kind of keep Tua out of harm's way if they can. So they're going to play the Jets and the Patriots and just play defense and run the football. And he's not going to have a bunch of wow plays. I mean, even looking against the Rams, he threw, 1 or 2 passes, like over 10 yards? It was – and I think they counted 24 pass attempts. He obviously got sacked on one of them. And I counted 10 rollouts, screens, boots, a shovel pass. Like, I think his offense is not going to let him shine in a way where he can put up the numbers to be the MVP of a playoff team.
Yep. All right. Let's get to the confidence picks, Geoff. Everybody loves the Thursday confidence picks. We'll talk about last week's performance tomorrow, obviously, but here are our futures confidence picks. Geoff, I will, let you serve first for your favorite confidence pick future bet.
So obviously offensive rookie of the year is Justin Herbert here at plus 100. Not as much value as yours, but I think that he has the best shot to do it.
You would bet more on Herbert. I would do a pizza money. Here's $50 on Tua with a potential lottery ticket ending there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much. I would probably do pizza money would probably be best on this one. What are our options? Pizza money and fire money? And
specify beforehand, but I don't think either of us are tying up a large portion of our bankroll in futures bets, right? That's just not good bankroll management. All right, on to the next one. Geoff, what are your thoughts here on defensive player of the year?
I think you sold me a little bit on Watt because of the record thing, right? 13-3 versus 9-7. Maybe the Rams don't make the playoffs. Steelers number 1 seed. So there's a lot of value in Watt. I think the this was like the first year that the mainstream kind of entire NFL world is focusing on his play. It typically takes 1 year to kind of get into the dance, like into the Pro Bowl, into All Pro, into getting these awards. And so I think this is the year where everyone's like, okay, he's close. Let's give it to Donald. But the value here plus 550 is a good one.
Yep. All right. On to MVP. And, listen, Russell Wilson probably will win it. If I had a vote, and I don't, I mean, Russ has been great. I got to go with Brady, man. This guy's 43, and he's delivering 20 touchdowns. Again, this is not like with the Patriots, okay? He's on a new team, new head coach, new system, new players everywhere. Now they're incorporating Antonio Brown. Come on, give it to Brady. And I'm a Jets fan, lifelong Jets fan, you guys. So I'm not like some Tom Brady homer. I have interviewed him a couple times. There was alcohol involved in these interviews. He's a super nice guy. I'll say that about Brady. Not that he needs to hear that from me, but anyways, I've rambled too long, Geoff. Go ahead, Russell Wilson.
I mean, just if you look at your side, you're going with the long shots. I'm going with the ones I think I can make us some money this year. So Wilson's obviously the one that's gonna cash here. Yeah, my futures strategy, not to reveal too much, but I like to go lower money on longer shots with the lottery ticket strategy. And for the final futures bet, Geoff, here we go. Oof. I got two of them. I don't love the Saints because they play this weekend, but let me just quickly argue for the Saints, Geoff. Michael Thomas hasn't played since week 1. He didn't get traded. We don't know what's going on in the locker room. It doesn't sound good, but this is a team that really has not hit its stride yet. I think we can agree on that. They've had so many different skill position players. They called up guys from the practice squad last week against the Bears and still won. So I don't know. Those are two from the NFC for me. So before, I think last season or 2 seasons ago, before the NFC Championship game against the Rams, the Saints were something like 7-0 at home during home playoff games with Breeze and Payne. They're really good. Lose to the Rams, lose to the Vikings last year. I don't really trust them to win a playoff game that they need to win. I know that Sean Payne is a fabulous coach and he won a Super Bowl, but I think we would look at him differently than we would other coaches in the same situation. Like they've underachieved the last 2 years in the playoffs. And I don't see why they would do the same thing this year. I mean, Drew Brees' arm continues. It's still doing well, but just the season goes on, it's a little bit worse and worse and worse. So I would not put money on the Saints here. Even if they're a long shot. What about the narrative that he could retire at the end of the season? He goes out after these brutal postseason losses. Then he comes out, wins the Super Bowl, rides off into the sunset. Is that too storybook finish for you? That's too John Elway, and it happened that way. Plus, look, he has the Saints. This is last year, right? They're $100 million over the cap, the projected cap for next year because of COVID cuts, right? So the cap is 175. I think they're 278 in 2021, and he has the job at NBC waiting for him. This is last year, so it's kind of last hurrah. But I don't think they're going to do it. All right, let's get to a fan question, Geoff. Fans, they love us. They love these shows. The numbers are going up exponentially every week. All right, Ian. I always struggle with Ian or Ian. Ian Ziering 90210. Hello. Anyway, I mean Ian Eagle, but that's about the only Ian I know. Ian Eagle, yes. How soon is too soon to lock in a futures bet? Should we be waiting till we get closer to season's end? Geoff, I'll let you tackle that one. I mean, I think it depends on how you read the market, right? Like if you think the market's going to go up or down. So, like for example, Tampa, if they're plus 650 right now, if they beat the Saints, they're going to what, plus 500? I mean, so the value in Tampa is now New Orleans plus 1,500. If they beat the Saints, I mean, they beat the Bucks, they're going to win the NFC South, so they're probably going to go to plus 1,200 plus. Like, so you just have to kind of read the market and what do you think is going to happen. There's never a bad time, in my opinion, but just make sure you get value on it, right? Like I said, the Steelers right now, you kind of missed out on the value train, right? They were plus 2,500. I got a ticket at the house. Plus 2,500 on the Steelers. Like I would not put a single cent in them the rest of the season unless I was hedging something. So I think it depends on where the lines move. I know it's not the best answer in the world, Jason, but you kind of have to do your research on where you think things are going to go. And I would add to that, you guys know markets, right? You buy low. So for instance, Seattle goes across the country to Buffalo this week. Should Buffalo win? I don't think they will. Seattle's number may tick up a little bit, and you get value if you believe that, hey, the defense is getting healthier. Same thing with the Saints, okay? We said them at what it was at plus 1,500. I think so. They go out and get their teeth kicked in by the Bucks on Sunday Night Football. There's a good chance that could happen, okay? If they get destroyed, that's going to go up to 2,000, maybe 1,800. Yeah. I would then buy the Saints a little lower than what the market value is this week. So as Geoff said, you really have to read the market and monitor things.
if you see the Steelers somehow lose to the Cowboys this week, well, we know they don't stink, right? You then buy the Steelers after the loss.
And you can also try to find a way to hedge out at some point throughout the season too. So there's ways to get, at Jason's point early on, like these are not large wagers, right? They're not like a big part of your bankroll. So you can try to buy yourself out of a position later on via a hedge, or just, trying to find a way to get another future to maybe offset something. So there's ways to get out of futures much easier than like an in-game bet to try to get out of a bad wager you made of a certain game.
All right, that'll do it for our mid-season gambling special. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, tomorrow, Talk the Line. Week 9 is really a crazy one. I'm not going to tease anything. You just got to come and watch us tomorrow. Jeff, any parting words?
Yeah, we need to do better on confidence picks. I'm gonna nail them this week. That
was a bloodbath last week for everybody. The house cleaned up. We'll get them back tomorrow. All right, guys, we'll talk to you then.